Thompson.
And the Scarlet Streak.
Terry West.
All working together for good against evil as the Justice League of America. Justice League of America. Working together for good against evil. The Justice League of America.
9 minutes after the hour. It is the third and final hour of the Rude Awakening, coming to you live from the Slam Dot Studios at Knox Talk Radio, Slam Dot websites that work. Their number, 865-238-5600. Go by and visit them at their brand new location. They're on Thunderhead Road. They're at that brand new shopping center right next to Publix off of North Shore. Beautiful little area. And they have a beautiful storefront. Go down and check them out. They're in between the Casual Pint and Kazzy's. Kazzy's Cafe, right there on the corner.
That's right.
Some good stuff.
Good burgers.
You can go by and say hi to the folks at Slam Dot. I heard us come back in with the superhero open. We need to give Mr. Donila a superhero name.
That's true.
I think we should just call him the Reporter. The Reporter. He is the investigative journalist of note. He is also the author of one of the best blogs, not only locally, but I'm going to say right now, anywhere on the internet, on the gigantic world of the web, that World Wide Web thing, screams from the porch. You can check it out. It is not only entertaining, but it is incredibly informative. And I like the type. I like the font he uses.
Oh yeah,
it's very newsy.
It's retro looking.
It is.
Too,
It's kind of like a courier font type of thing. It reminds me of typing class from high school.
It looks like the font that Drudge uses.
Kind of. Yeah. It's very much like reading a paper, but it's much more informative than any papers, especially any papers here locally.
Yeah.
It screams from the porch. It is the man from WBIR, Mike Donila. Hey, what's up, Mike?
Hey, good morning.
He's always so excited.
I don't know if I'm deserving of all those accolades.
No, you are. You very much are.
You really are, and after a quick look at some of the Justice League members throughout the great history of the Justice League, from the 1980s, I think this might be appropriate. Firestorm. Considering what happened on Sunday.
Firestorm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sunday was interesting. It was interesting. If you didn't catch... If you didn't catch Sunday morning's local political talk shows, Inside Tennessee welcomed Knox County's own Mayor Tim Burchett to stop by and talk a little bit about things going on in the city. And our good friend Mike Donila, after sitting through many minutes of political speak, suddenly went, how about the school board, man? What do you think about the school board?
You and McIntyre.
What's McIntyre? What's going on there?
Yeah.
And the ensuing the minutes after that were just they were exciting. So you were sitting there listening to them talk and decided you were going to pose the question about McIntyre. Tell the folks what happened that hadn't seen it.
Well, I mean, it's the school matters or something we're going to bring up with the mayor.
Sure.
Anyway, it wasn't to intentionally gig him and get him riled up. I mean, he's long taken an interest in school board issues. We just asked him. My intention was asking him about. It's not a secret that the mayor and the superintendent haven't seen eye to eye, and I think my intention was to ask him. Why is that, and how can that be resolved? And he told us why it was, and I don't think it can be resolved.
Yeah, I think that was we got that pretty clearly from the mayor. So,
so what do you think goes on from here? I mean, is this going to be kind of just an underlying bubbling thing, or is this, are we going to see this come to a head eventually, you think?
I'm not sure, and that's a good question. I'm not trying to cop out. I think it will be an underlying thing for a while. But the mayor is very outspoken, and he can get set off for anything. And it could come to a head all of a sudden. And I think I just repeated exactly what you just said and didn't answer your question, but I'm not really sure. I know they did have lunch. They were supposed to have lunch yesterday, and that got canceled. From what I understand, it was the mayor's office.
Yeah.
So he did say he meets with the superintendent as little as possible.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so they're not sitting down breaking bread every week, having lunch and just buddying.
No, they're not friends.
Yeah. You've sat and watched all the goings on with the school board and everything that's happened leading up, and it seems like the past couple of years, and you brought up the issue was brought up on Sunday concerning some grant money.
Right. There was a reading program that the mayor. Let me jump back. What was it? A couple of years ago, in 2012, I want to say, the school administration pushed for a 35-cent tax increase. Now they'll just say, "Well, we proposed a budget that was 35 cents greater," but they knew exactly what they were doing.
Right.
And they went to a mayor that swore up and down he was not going to raise taxes. He campaigned on taxes, but they made the request anyway. Hey, that's their right. Go ahead. But then they get mad when he doesn't approve it. So anyway, what the mayor did was he said, I'm not going to do that. I don't buy it. I don't think your plan will work. But what I will do is I'll give you $3 million. I'll give it to you, and we'll put it through the Greater School Partnership, kind of funnel it through there. That way, if it doesn't work, they can pull this money back, and it doesn't become reoccurring funding. And so the idea was to run a pilot program. I'm going by memory here. It's like K through 3 pilot program in a few schools. And according to the mayor, that's not exactly how they were doing it. They didn't do it as a pilot program. Now, I pushed him a little bit, and his answer was a little wishy-washy. So I don't know. He somewhat accused the school system of misusing the money. I don't know. I think if it's used as a reading program, that's probably a good thing.
Sure.
Although he said he couldn't get accurate numbers, and if you ever try to get anything out of that school system, I'm still waiting on a records request. In fact, from about a month ago.
Really?
So.
See, and the thing with that, I mean, hearing that in the taping, and then you reinstating it. I mean or restating it just now, the thing that bothers me about it is it in my mind it sets up this pattern, and it's an unsettling pattern, because you look at that, with the idea that maybe there was some funds that weren't spent the right way, or weren't clear as to how they were supposed to be spent, or they weren't clearly spent the way they were intended to be spent. Then you have the question that's still lingering out there about the PPU funds, and we always hear, and we've heard for a long time prior to this, well, Dr. McIntyre is not really so much a people person. He's more of a numbers guy. He's really much a numbers guy. So you would think from a numbers guy you could get some hard numbers fairly easily. Or you would have a guy that could actually give you a good reckoning of everything where it's being spent. And that's the way it should be anyways, for the simple fact that it's taxpayer dollars. So they should be able to tell you, okay, here's where we're spending, this was spent on. But when you have the PPU questions going on, you got this question with this grant money, and you're waiting around for open records requests, and we can't get. Is it time for a if not a forensic audit, at least a very complete audit of what's going on? And if we have an audit, are we going to start finding, maybe the stuff wasn't spent the way it really was supposed to be spent?
I don't know. It's easy to ask for a forensic audit or a complete audit, but what that entails is amazing. I mean, it's not that easy to actually do, especially a forensic audit, which is more of something you do for criminal. And
sure.
I don't think there's anything criminal going on. I think what they need to do is you need to get the county finance team and the school finance team, and you don't have the mayor involved, and you don't have the superintendent involved, and you get those two sides to figure out how to do a complete counting, how to use, the way the school system accounts for their money is it's almost broken down from each little school. You can't just, it's not as simple as asking for, one request, one central storage unit, I guess, of information or numbers. And everybody needs to get on the same page. But that also goes for all the fee offices, too. Figure out a way to account for everything and make it easy for people to look at. And don't have the bosses involved, but have the bosses agree to whatever you agree to go along with it.
Yeah, but isn't that the boss's job? I mean, isn't that the superintendent's job, is to make sure that if we've got, I mean, you got, 62% of the budget going to schools. Shouldn't the superintendent then say, okay, all you schools, this is the way we're going to do these budgets. This is what you have to report back to me. You need to show me how you guys have spent this money, and here's what it's supposed to be spent on. I mean, isn't that his job?
Well, apparently it hasn't worked, so.
That blows my mind. I mean, just here in our little radio station, if we go spend money, we come back and we bring a receipt. We circle, okay, this is what was spent. Here's why we spent it. And it goes into here and it waits until the finance guy takes it. Okay, he goes back and counts up what's there in the petty cash drawer, counts up what he's got receipt-wise. We know everything was spent and everything's on board. You got 62% of a county's budget.
9233. That's 1-800-509-9233. By calling the Treatment Helpline for drug and alcohol addiction, you can turn your life around. Our advisors will match you with a proven 5-star luxury treatment center that will end your drug or alcohol addiction once and for all. Your future can still be bright. When you call right now, you'll speak to a recovering addict who understands what you're going through. Let us help you break your addiction to drug or alcohol before it's too late. This call is completely confidential, and if you have private insurance, there should be no cost to you. Take 5 minutes of your time and call right now. It may change your life for the better. Call 1-800-509-9233. That's 1-800-509-9233. Call 1-800-509-9233.
I'm Randy Baxter. Join me, your host, every Sunday morning at 9 for the Veteran Next Door Live here on Knox Talk Radio 94.3 WNFC. We'll talk about a variety of topics all centered around the veteran. You can call us at 865-243-TALK. That's 865-243-8255. It's your chance to air your ideas, share stories, and ask questions. That's the Veteran Next Door Live with me, your host, Randy Baxter, every Sunday morning at 9 on Knox Talk Radio 94.3 WNFC.
Go ahead, Mike.
I know where Don's going, and I had thought, we're talking about city, we're talking about county. The other thing that you started to show an interest in is schools.
Sure.
And it's no secret you and the superintendent don't get along. And so where is the disconnect between you and Jim McIntyre?
Well,
why do we have it?
It's 62 cents out of every dollar goes to education. I think what you have to realize, superintendent, he is a staff person. He's no different than Michael Greider or Dean Rice or anybody else in my office.
It's pretty different. You don't have control over whether he has the job.
He's not supposed to have control of the school board, which he does. Now, you all might say, I don't know.
Maybe he did might be a better question.
He does. He still does. And that's where my I've said that all along. He works for the school board, yet he tells the school board what to do. He uses the sunshine laws to his advantage by bringing in a lawyer and executive, whatever they call it, whatever session, their name they call that. And good and well, guys, if that was county commission or if I was pulling that stunt, you all would be blasting me and there'd be editorial, and there should be. But instead they do that because, it's sacred ground, let's not touch it. But I think, and two, when in this world did it ever become popular for either political party to beat up on school teachers? To me, that is just nonsense, and that seems to be what we're seeing out in the public. And you have school board members limiting the conversation when they have the open mic. What do they call it? Public forum. And you have a school board member saying, well, wait a minute, if you work for the school system, you need to go through your supervisor and discuss with them, and they need to okay what you say. If that was on county commission, I would run down to the mic and I would demand that person's apology to the public, because First Amendment is something that we should all hold sacred. But since it's the school system, it's the school system. They're allowed to do that, and that is wrong, Don. You're a liberal. You should be on board with that.
I like to think I'm pragmatic progressive.
What would you like to see happen there?
Little clip there from Sunday's Inside Tennessee with Knox County Mayor Tim Burchett and one of the panelists there Sunday morning was our guest here, Mike Donila from WBIR and the author of Screams from the Porch, screamsfromtheporch.com. Some of my you've gone through and gathered in your blog some of the best highlights from the conversation with the mayor on Sunday, and of course one of the big things was I'd like to see the school board take their proper role and take control of the school system. And then right after that, Don Bosch said, "Do you think Jim McIntyre should be gone?" To which Burchett answered, "Yes, I do. Yes, I do." And then goes back to say that he just doesn't like his style of leadership. Doesn't like talking to teachers who are afraid for their own jobs because they're speaking out. With that in mind, and we've already seen, we got, what, 3 people? Is it 3 still that are up for this second district seat? How do you think that this vote's going to go? I mean, it's going to be very fast. It's coming up in November. Yeah. Is this going to be contentious? Are we going to see a big power struggle for that 5th seat?
Yeah, you will. There's people. Who do we have? Tracy Sanger.
Tracy Sanger. You got Rowe and
Jamie Rowe. And
I figure out the last one that was the one that came in at the very last minute.
Oh, Charlotte. Somebody. Yeah. So you have. If you break it down black and white, pro anti-McIntyre, pro anti-school board, kind of the direction that they were going, what others want them to do. You got Tracy Sanger, who is India Kincannon's handpicked predecessor. A vote for her is a vote for India. I don't care what anybody says, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Jamie Rowe, longtime community activist, well-loved in the area. She is not a fan of McIntyre or the direction that the school board was going. And then the third candidate who kind of jumped in, who if you look at her on paper, really has a lot of, kind of really worked her way right up from the bottom up to the top.
Sure.
She's been kind of in the middle. Somebody joked to me that she uses a lot of these catchphrases that sound like McIntyreisms, so take that for what it is. I think it'll come down to Sanger and Rowe, and you'll start to see this push from. I think the third person will just kind of be left out.
You think so?
I do. I think Jamie Rowe's going to win. I don't think there's any question of that. But I guess I say that with a lot of confidence. That you should never call jury trials or elections. So let me take that back. If I had a bet, I guess that's how I would bet.
Three candidates: Jamie Rowe, Tracy Sanger, and Charlotte Dorsey.
That's it.
It was weird. We have one more, but she didn't have enough signatures on the petition.
No, she didn't. And it should be pointed out. She kind of came in at the last minute and did this, and I don't think people realize that getting 25 signatures, anybody can do that, but you've got to make sure everybody's registered in that district, and some people don't even realize they're not even registered, or they need to re-register or whatever, and so she had 22, and didn't get in.
So you're thinking it's going to come down to Jamie Rowe and Tracy Sanger. But the thing is, it's such a shortened period of time because the vote's in November. Are we gonna see this get nasty?
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I had somebody texting in and I got distracted. I think I don't think with the candidates it will be. I think from their supporters it will be. From the fringe on either side, not from the main supporters. That happens in a lot of elections. But when you were saying we don't have a lot of time, Rowe really got out when the commission was busy trying to pick an interim. She was putting together a website, had signs up forever, and if you see, her big kickoff had hundreds of people from all over the big names all over the county. So
seemed a lot more organized than her opponents.
Really.
Because I remember when it was announced, when it was all said and done, and all the petitions were in and everything, we were able to find much more information about her than her opponents.
Oh yeah, I mean, the minute everything was done, she had her kickoff campaign pretty much that night or the next night, and it was already underway. I want to get your thoughts on there was another writer out there, Sandra Clark. Reported in the Shopper News something that's being referred to as Fear the Hat. And I don't know if you heard about this, and I'm sure you have, but apparently this going on with John Fugate, who's sitting in that interim seat right now. Just a few days after being named to that interim seat, he was walking toward the AJ building. Apparently Fugate is a fan of hats, wears a hat quite often himself. He likes the hats. So supposedly he likes the hats, and he wears a hat quite often. Saw a man wearing a hat walking toward him, and apparently, according to Fugate, he was going to say, "Hey, nice hat," to the guy, which is, it's a nice little thing. But apparently the guy in the hat walked right up and got right in his face and said, basically, he hoped if he'd come to the school board to cause problems or raise Cain, that he hoped the business community runs him out of town. And it turns out a seemingly ominous threat was none other than J. Lawrence Tulloch, president of the Cornerstone Foundation. Fugate shakes off the threat, goes in, and then nominates McMillan as chair. People are saying now that they think that Mike Edwards or somebody should make Tulloch come back and apologize, or should apologize for him. When you hear that story, what do you think? I mean, how does it strike you?
I don't know. I mean, I like Sandra. I respect Sandra. I'm going to assume that it was correct. I'd like to think that maybe how the information was relayed to her was wrong. That somebody wouldn't do something like that. If that was done, well, good for Fugate. I don't know. I don't really know. I just kind of heard the story in passing, so
if it was done, do you think somebody owes them an apology? Because if they apologize for it, then they assume responsibility for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm always just a firm believer of politics is politics, and it's the guy's. I don't know. It's the guy's opinion.
Well, and speaking of politics, what is Tulloch's involvement in Knox County politics?
He's a member of Chamber, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that, and he's over the Cornerstone Foundation.
What do they do?
Oh, why'd you ask me that?
Oh, okay. Fine.
It's still early. It's on the tip of my tongue. They give money to something.
No, they get probably schools, maybe. Yeah. I mean, when I heard this, I figured when I heard someone wanted someone from the chamber to apologize, he was part of the chamber. But when we've talked about this, we've just kind of mentioned the guy, and I don't think most people don't. It's kind of like, who is this guy in a hat that would be talking to Fugate?
Here's the thing, and I like Mike Edwards, so I kind of struggle with this. People get very passionate, obviously, about school issues and school matters. I mean, you got a few people that write crazy emails out there in the world. We got
a few of those.
Yeah, Christy. Anyway, so we've got if he really did come up there and say, hey, they ought to run you out of town, I mean, it's kind of this passion, this heat of the moment thing. I don't know Lawrence Tulloch.
Okay.
I do know Mike Edwards, and Mike's a passionate guy. I don't think Mike would say something like that, at least not publicly. And Mike's a smart guy. So, do they owe him an apology? Nah, it's just his opinion. I don't think.
Well, he didn't say they would run him out of town. He just said he hopes they do.
I don't know.
If he said that.
Yeah, if he said that.
If he said it, I think it was rude,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe his hat was on a little tight. Maybe that was.
That might have been it.
Maybe his hat was a little tight.
The
He was
blood
just,
flow or something.
He was
what
angry.
Kind of hat did he have? Did it
I
say?
didn't say. I just say. I like.
That's a crucial part of the story.
That's
That should
journalism.
When I read the story, I always like to picture him in like like kind of a shadowy like a fedora, and he talks like this the entire time. I hope they run you out of town. Yeah. Cornerstone Foundation, just reading off of their website, cornerstoneofknoxville.org. Their purpose of the Cornerstone Foundation of Knoxville is to serve as a catalyst to reach our God-given potential as a community, founded on the belief that Jesus Christ is the chief cornerstone, and that he expects us to live out the values of Christian stewardship and to seek the peace and prosperity of the city in which he has placed us.
Built for business. In business, time is money. In business, money is also money. No wonder nearly 1,000 businesses choose Comcast Business Internet over DSL from the phone company every single day. Not only is it up to 5 times faster, it's actually a better value when you go with the fastest plan. So take a minute out of your busy schedule and call Comcast Business. It will be well worth your time and your money.
Switch to Comcast Business Internet. Then add voice and TV for just $34.90 a month. And ask about our 2-year price guarantee. Call 800-501-6000 or visit ComcastBusiness.com. Comcast Business. Built for business. Offer ends 9/30/14. Restrictions apply. Limited to 1 voice line and private view TV for new customers. 2-year contract required. Requires Comcast Business Internet at an additional monthly charge. Equipment, taxes, and fees, including broadcast TV fee extra. Savings claim based on cost per megabits per second. Compares Comcast 100 megabits per second and 20 megabits per second DSL downloads.
Join us this week for the Knox Talk Radio High School Football Game of the Week. This week, Maryville takes on Hardin Valley. High school football on Knox Talk Radio is brought to you by Ted Russell Nissan, Hops Woodworks, Anderson Lumber, Rusty Wallace Kia, Blunt Memorial Substance Abuse Prevention Action Team, SAPAT, Extended Family Service, Auto Physicians, Marathon Mr. Gas, Fowler's Furniture, Twin City Hyundai, C&D Tire, Ogle Elrod and Burrill, and Pokies and Sports. We are high school football. We are Knox Talk Radio.
What happened there?
Honestly, I would like to see the school board take their proper role and take control of the school system.
Do you think Jim McIntyre should be gone?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
And why do you say that?
Because his style of leadership, I don't like talking to teachers who are afraid for their own jobs because of speaking out. I welcome that in county government. I don't like hearing from professionals that testify before school board about kids crying on Friday mornings. Yeah, I cried on Friday morning. I didn't want to go to school, but not because I was going to have to take some ludicrous test that just continuously testing. They're mining our kids for information. You know, our children.
This past weekend inside Tennessee, that's Knox County Mayor Tim Burchett making his feelings very clear on Dr. Jim McIntyre, the school superintendent. We're talking with Mike Donila. He was there on the panel that morning on the WBIR's Inside Tennessee. And you can also catch him on WBIR. You can also catch him at his blog site, screamsfromtheporch.com. And this one just kind of yesterday, Burchett versus McIntyre, One More Look. And if you want to watch the interview in its entirety, you can watch it right there from the link on Mike's blog. And we appreciate Mike stopping by just to talk a little bit about some of that interview and then some of the stuff that's going on locally. I love how you end your blog though about this. I said again, check out the interviews; they're both pretty engaging. But remember, at the end of the day, the teachers are still teaching and the students are still learning. None of this really matters. And when I read that, I hear that in Mike's voice. It's just, it's incredible. Now you guys got now I know when you did they did the story. This was taped last Wednesday night, right?
Right.
And then the story came out Thursday concerning the mayor's comments. And I guess y'all were able to get some responses from McIntyre. What was the superintendent's responses to some of this?
Well, he called. He said the mayor's remarks were disheartening and unfortunate. And he said he didn't know where they were coming from. Which, I mean, come on, really?
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
We asked him gosh, what was it? We asked him one question, and he just didn't even answer it.
Wow.
And
yeah, you asked him the mayor's suggestions that he micromanages and doesn't build good working relationships with the teachers. And
he went
just
on
avoided
this
the
kind
question.
of soliloquy about, how teachers are great, which then at one point he said he should quit talking in paragraphs, which, I want to say this about the guy because it sounds like we're beating him up. If you can get him away from his handlers and just sit there and talk to him, he's really kind of a fun guy to talk to, and he's actually kind of funny. But then he gets around his handlers, and he's just this stuffed shirt. And I think that's part of his problem. But, everybody's told him this, and he doesn't listen.
Well, I can agree with you on that, and I've actually said it before. I mean, and it's never anything personal with him. At least for the most part, we try to always keep it not personal because it's really about some critiques in the way he does his job. But there was one time I ran into I was with my son, he was with his kids, ran into each other at in the hallway there at a UT basketball game.
Yeah.
And he just stopped and talked for a couple minutes.
Yeah, he told us a story about an old car he sold to a student back when he taught for about a month, but he was telling us this story and
Formative
about
experience.
this beater car that he had, and it was the fun. Well, I'll let him tell it one time when he comes on here one day.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. We keep trying to get him on, and they don't. They for some reason he always has something to do. Oddly enough,
maybe we tell him we just want to hear that story.
Just that story.
Just that story.
Yeah, I still doubt it. I still doubt he's going to come on.
Maybe we could record
many
that
times.
story and then just play it.
Dr. McIntyre, if you're out there listening now, and I have a suspicion you might be, you are more than welcome to come on the show anytime you want. In fact, I've gotten to the point now where we can, you just come on. We'll let you talk. We won't even say anything. You can just come on and talk. And if you want to come on and tell the story about the car, you're welcome to do that. We would just love to sit down and talk with you sometime. You used to come on before, but I guess we're just not friendly anymore to you. I don't know why, but he's always welcome to come on the show. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. You get him away from everybody else, and he's a likable guy. Just one-on-one, he's engaging. He's almost charming.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, this pattern of, I don't understand where this is coming from, and it's not me, it's your fault, it's not what I said, you misread it, you misheard it, you misunderstand it. It gets to be tiresome after a while.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, I think of, all the excuses that can be made, and I'm not speaking on him, just anybody. I mean, at some point, it is your fault.
Yeah.
It could be something little, it could be something big, but, nobody's perfect here.
Yeah.
And,
well, if you're going to take the mantle of leadership, eventually, the buck's got to stop with you.
Yeah, you have to accept,
Yeah.
I mean, heck, we caught the mayor in a fib early on, about some severance packages and payouts. This was back in 2010. And, he just looked and goes, you know what? Fine. I did it. He was smart enough to know this is a one-day news story. Let's just keep denying it for the rest of the month and have it show up over and over again.
Yeah.
So, that's his handlers, though.
Yeah. We got a question here if you want to throw your headphones on really quick. We know we don't want to mess up the TV hair there, but we'll go ahead and go to the phones. We'll say, JB, good morning. You're on with Mike Donila.
Good morning, fellas. Mike, who are these evil handlers that keep leading McIntyre astray?
The powers that be in the ivory tower.
Is it a group like a pack of 4 or 5, or they wear black suits like Men in Black? Who are these evil handlers that keep him being this great guy?
I'm referring to some of the folks in the PR department.
Oh, you mean the people who work for him?
Yes.
So the people who work for him are spinning him?
Yes.
Interesting. That doesn't sound like a very strong personality, does it? I'm just asking an honest question. You think he's being spun by his own employees? Wow. Mike, you still there?
Yeah, we're all still here. We're just listening to you, JB.
The reason about the thing the Chamber of Commerce comes into play is that Lawrence Tulloch is, of course, the Cornerstone Foundation has been a long funnel mechanism for money into the county. And the chamber that gets $600,000 of public money has a PAC, and they were deeply involved in this past election with several campaigns, and they spend that PAC money to lobby in Nashville and work for campaigns. So Mr. Tulloch's comments could have been an implied threat to Mr. Fugit or others that the political pressure of the chamber might come against them. That's why Mike Edwards should apologize.
I don't think that the chamber's just going to pull money just because they disagree with the school board. I mean, that's cutting the nose off to spite the face.
You don't think they'll do what?
I don't think they would pull the money for that.
Well, I'm saying they supported campaigns this last election with their PAC, Mike. You didn't know that?
But what I'm failing to see the point here. Why Mike Edwards should apologize.
The Chamber of Commerce has a PAC,
right,
and they use it for political races, including these school board races. And Tulloch is hooked up with the chamber. That might have been an implied threat to play ball for the future, or will help your opponent. It's a very serious issue.
Yeah, but John Fugit's not running for the
yes,
office,
but that
so it
seat
doesn't
won't
matter.
be open. And it was an act of intimidation. And you think it doesn't matter, but trust me, around this county, it does matter. What if somebody from the chamber had already apologized to him? Would that make it a more substantial, realistic event?
I mean, I guess it could, but I don't...
If that had happened, would that make it a more powerful event?
I can agree with that. Yeah, I could agree with that.
So if he's already had an apology from the chamber, that makes it a more powerful. Secondly, it was a $35 million tax increase, not 35 cents.
No, it was to raise it 35 cents, which would have been
$35 million.
No, it was a 35 cent. It was a 35-cent tax increase, which would have amounted to $35 million.
It was $35 million, and that
Right.
was, and the chamber lobbied for that, and Mike Edwards lobbied for that actively.
Right, and we
So
said
they were
that.
deeply involved in politics. So, by the way, okay, just a couple more questions, if you might. Do you think that this? I know you say that this forensic audit is too difficult, too expensive, too long, too awful. We've already spent $100,000, either paid or promised, in this Needham, our ghost employee. We have an employee who's involved in misconduct that worked directly for Mr. McIntyre, and he was stealing cards and getting...
94.3 WFZ-FM. Find us on Facebook.
All right, listen up. If you're in business today, you simply must have a website or you do not exist. Can I make it any clearer? No website, no business. Now, even if you do have a website, it might be next to impossible to find you. When people are searching, you need to show up. You need a website that works. It's no secret. The phone book, it's out. Google, it's in. The team at SlamDot can build you a website that gets found. And they can help you with Facebook, Twitter, all those social media tools, all those things you may not even be familiar with. Contact SlamDot at 238-5600 or visit them online at slamdot.com. That's SLAMDOT.com. Slamdot.com. Visit their website store at 2053 Thunderhead Road. SlamDot provides affordable, professional websites that work with a capital W. Call them, 238-5600, and get a website that works. 238-5600. When you think websites, think SlamDot.
Do you have commercial or industrial real estate needs? Southland Realtors Commercial Group has been your commercial and industrial specialist since 1992. Our brokers have over 20 years experience with Southland Realtors. Why not see what sets us apart from other real estate companies? Buying, selling, leasing? We have the knowledge, experience, and methods to accomplish your goals. Call Southland Realtors Commercial Group at 694-6161, 694-6161, or visit us online.
Got a couple minutes left to finish up this Tuesday morning here on the Rude Awakening. We appreciate Mike Donila stopping by, spending a little bit of time with us. Again, check him out on WBIR, or you can check him out daily at screamsfromtheporch.com. Couple of texts to hit before we go. Deb says the chamber is deep with money involved in Common Core. That's her thought. KJ says Karen Carson accusing the county mayor of political grandstanding. She's whining. Outrageous statements. Apparently she was on another station this morning. Bet she won't come on your show. They're all invited. Oddly enough, something always comes up at the last minute. They don't show up. I don't know why. They're invited to come. We'll be nice. We'll bring you. We'll even give you coffee.
Shine at Knox Talk Radio, Terry at Knox Talk Radio, or Mike at Knox Talk Radio.
Or just pick up the phone and call us.
You can call right now.
Yeah, 865-243-TALK. We'll schedule a time for you to come on with us. We'll schedule a time for you to come on with us if you want to call. Brad says Obama wants to degrade and destroy ISIS. He should be able to accomplish that in just a few months. He has degraded and destroyed the United States in only 6 years. There you go. Carmen reminding you that Chavez is not in Colombia but in Venezuela.
Yeah, I said that. Right after we went, as soon as the mics turned off, I said, oh.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah.
And it's Columbia University, anyways, is who's inviting the president to come in New York. Columbia University, his
See, I didn't know.
library.
That's why I knew Chavez was dead. I knew that.
Yeah.
I just
Venezuela.
I was just trying to tie it. Yeah, it was a bad joke.
That's all right.
Because I messed up the facts.
Harry says, you say it's ridiculous Texas will withdraw from the Union. Oh, I didn't say it was ridiculous. I said people are saying it's a ridiculous notion that they would. And he says, well, I thought it was ridiculous 5 years ago that we'd open our southern borders. Here's a note
Can we
here.
build a wall around Texas if they succeed?
I think so. I think we can.
Do we?
Yeah, we build a big giant wall. Or just like a dome.
Just
like
to keep them in, though. Yeah, to keep them in, not to keep everybody else out.
Harry says he thought it ridiculous 5 years ago we'd open our southern borders. Here's something to let you know here. The borders have never been closed. You thought they were closed. They've never been closed. They've always been open, you know.